Well, I didn't think it was possible, but the Falcons have somehow found a way to lose a game in more disappointing fashion than a 30 to nothing loss versus the Carolina Panthers, guys. Welcome back to the episode of the Reggie Chatman Show. I am your host, Reggie Chatman. I am a sports anchor and reporter based here in Atlanta, Georgia, that's been covering the Falcons for 5 years, and this one sucked. Sunday Night Football on my station, 11 Alive, and the Falcons had an opportunity after that massive win on Monday Night Football over the Bills to set and really tell everybody in the entire NFL that they are for real. They go out to the Bay Area and lose, and it was in a way that was really disappointing for a whole bunch of reasons. It was a very Falcons loss because on paper, coming off that incredible win over the Bills where the offense looked good and the defense looked good, you guys go on the road to the West Coast on Sunday Night Football, all eyes on them. All the question marks that people might have had about this team were starting to get answered, and all they had to do was go out on the road, and I say all they had to do, but truly, this was the conversation going into the game. All they had to do was go out there and beat a 49ers team that no longer has Fred Warner, playing a whole bunch of rookie players all over the field on that defense, and try and stop an offense without their starting quarterback. And they couldn't do any of it. And what I think is the most disappointing part about it is they had the opportunities to do certain things and make certain plays and come up big in certain spots, but all the stuff that they did in the last game where they seemed to be really dialed up and dialed in to be able to get a win against the Bills, and they made the play in the right moments, they didn't do against the San Francisco 49ers. And this will be my instant-ish reaction. I'm not going to lie. The game was on our air, which means I was up really late last night. I ended up falling asleep with my contacts in, so I am waking up. And I'm doing this post-game reaction because I did a whole bunch of notes on the game. I want to just take you through some of the things that I saw because really, truly, like they always say, the NFL it's all about the margins. It's the small margins that end up costing you games. Obviously, there's big stuff that is the bigger deal, but it was the small margin stuff that allowed the 49ers to be able to do the right things and end up winning this game. So, just disappointing. A 20-10 loss to the San Francisco 49ers. The Falcons fall to 3-3 on the year. They are 1-2 on the road this season. And it's a loss to a 49ers team that, look, I get it. They're good. They're on paper. They're now 5-2, but this is a squad that is losing so much talent and has a lot of talent gone. And the fact that the Falcons just couldn't stop the run, and that's the thing. It felt like the things switched. Like we had a switch where coming into this game, the 49ers had struggled kind of running the football. Christian McCaffrey had been kind of struggling. That man turned back the clock against this Falcons defense. He had a day that was, over 200 yards from scrimmage, right? Normally that's what we've been seeing from Bijan Robinson. We saw it earlier in the week against the Buffalo Bills. And I'd consider Bijan a Christian McCaffrey archetype. They trained in the offseason over the summer. Both incredibly impressive running backs. They can catch the ball out of the backfield. They do their job in the pass blocking game. They're very good players. And so it felt like we were watching vintage Christian McCaffrey. And I know vintage Christian McCaffrey. I know the guy. I mean, I guess not personally. I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area. And so, I used to watch Stanford games. And I remember when he was in the Heisman conversations, that somebody at that point was already living in the South. I was still watching Stanford games. I was like, this guy should be the Heisman winner. Ends up losing it, not winning it. But he is absolutely incredible. Had been struggling, but he went out there and balled out on Sunday Night Football, showing people that he's still the man. What an incredible performance from Christian McCaffrey. What a disappointing one from the Atlanta Falcons. So we're going to go through the game here in a second, but I just want to point out some of the bigger things I think were the bigger issues in this game for this Falcons team. It all came down to the little details, and it's stuff like this, right? And I know this was a really frustrating game for a lot of people because at the end of the first half, another opportunity for this Falcons team to score some points at the end of the half. We all remember what happened in that Bills game where Drake London, and I don't fault him for it, catching that ball and trying to get into the end zone as time expired. He got tackled out of bounds before hitting the pylon, or I guess he stepped out of bounds. And that touchdown doesn't happen, and that's 7 points that gets wiped off the board that you thought you'd score. And the issue with the Falcons at the end of the half here against the 49ers, they were driving, had an opportunity to try and go get some points, and they end up messing it up again. And once again, I don't know if I can really blame Michael Penix Jr. for this, but inside the tackle box, throws it out of bounds, and because of that, a 10-second runoff happens, and they go in a half without any points in a situation where they probably could have kicked or probably got a field goal off and tried to get some points. That doesn't happen. That sack fumble in the first half was disastrous. That ends up coming into 3 points. And this was clearly, you could tell early that this game was going to be a war. You could tell early because you could see neither of these offenses was super, super productive. And then, of course, let's just get into the game, right? Okay, we're going to start off this game first quarter. You're feeling pretty good initially. I guess the Falcons go 3-and-out, which stinks. But, when you're the 49ers, you get a sack to start the game. If you're the Falcons on the first offensive possession and you're like, oh, man, we're back. This is it. This is what we saw just last game against the Buffalo Bills. It's a different offense, and we can try and get them stopped, and we'll be good to go. But you could start to see some of the problems kind of budding off. A couple of big runs from Christian McCaffrey, and the offense started moving the ball. They ended up going 42 yards on 9 plays. Not end up scoring. They end up punting the ball back over to the Falcons, who really then started to see the offense start to kind of come alive a little bit. Right? You had a couple of great throws to Kyle Pitts. One of them came back because of a hold, and that's what I'm talking about. A lot of these mistakes, the flags and bad moments, that was a bit of a nice first down throw, gets called back because of a hold. Then they go right back to Kyle again. He played really well. He had 3 catches just on this drive. I mean, look, there's been a lot of talk about Kyle Pitts, and there always has been because of where he was drafted and everything like that. He had a big day. 7 receptions for 62 yards, a long of 19. He had 10 targets on the day. Between him and Drake London, both of them had 10 targets on the day. Kyle finished with 7 catches for those 62 yards. Darnell Mooney ended up leading the way with those 3 catches for 68 yards on 5 targets. But it feels different when you can see Kyle Pitts actually being used within the offense. You can tell he's a good player. And then, of course, Bijan Robinson, who we'll get to throughout the rest of this day because he is so good. He was still bottled up by his standards, but still an impressive performance based off of if you're anybody else in this league, right? If he wasn't playing against Christian McCaffrey, who looked like Bijan Robinson, it would have looked like a better performance. And the other issue is, we mentioned these flags. Another flag, illegal man downfield, an automatic first down because of the defense. So you take that, which is cool. It was a long drive, but then, of course, ends in a sack, and then you have to kick a field goal. And, if you're in that situation after driving 19 plays for 60 yards, you burn 10 minutes and 40 seconds a clock, and you just come up with 3 points? Can't have that. Cannot have that. You got to score there. Like I said, yeah, that 5-yard penalty, man, is a killer. It's a killer because you go 5-yard penalty after illegal man downfield as Randusa was downfield a little bit too far. It's a 5-yard penalty. Then you got a loss. So then it's 1st and 15. Then you get a loss of 3 after throwing a Kyle Pitts who gets tackled in the backfield. You go 3-yard run, incompletion, 9-yard pass. You kind of get bailed out by a penalty on illegal contact from the 49ers. So the drive's still alive. You move into this in the second quarter, and then that drive on 3rd and 4, when you need to pick it up, you get sacked. And Parker Roma knocks through the field goal. So you're up 3-0. And you're like, okay, you take the points, but that's not good. That's not good at all. And that's the thing. It's stuff like that helped really decide this game. 49ers picked up the ball second quarter. Divine Diablo got hurt. That ended up being a huge deal because right after that defense could not stop a nosebleed in the run game. Christian McCaffrey, so hard to tackle. Juwan Jennings, a couple of third down conversions. He had a third down conversion, and then he tipped the ball up to Caden Ellis, who caught the ball and picked it off. And just like that, you're up 3-0. You have the ball back. I'm a little bit disappointed at the office watching this game because I had Caden Ellis on my fantasy team, and I just dropped him just to make some space for somebody else. That could have been some easy points for me. I think I lost this week in that league, so that's disappointing. But yeah, you're up 3-0. The 49ers the defense does their job, but so does the young 49ers defense. The Falcons, 4 plays, 18 yards. They don't capitalize, and it was just short runs and incomplete passes. Guys, you got to be able to do something. Okay? You start that drive. Where did they start that drive at? That drive was started on their own 34-yard line. And like I said, that was a huge stop to be able to get that interception because they were going to drive down the field and get some points. You punt, and then they go 13 plays, 80 yards in 6 minutes and 10 seconds to take the first lead of the game. It was, and look, it's so good. Christian McCaffrey is such a good player. And it was crazy because he was coming into this game, he was averaging 3.1 yards per run. He did a lot better than that on Sunday Night Football. The defense could not stop the run. I would say George Kittle being back made a major difference. He didn't have a big day catching the ball, but his physicality and his leadership and the fact that he's out on the field is more than enough to help this 49ers team, especially in the run game. They were good on third down. I thought that was another big stat in this game. Let me pull that stat up for you really fast. On third down, the Niners were 9 of 15. They had a first down throw on this drive. It was a long drive. We had Mac Jones who got to show off his wheels a little bit. And they ended up going all the way down the field and scoring. So you get that touchdown there. Just like that, San Francisco goes up 7-3. And then this is where it becomes more of a disaster. We mentioned all the mistakes they're making. You have to be able to respond. Off the field, off the interception, you don't respond, you punt the ball, they go on and score. You get the ball back, and guess what you do? Fumble. Sack fumble. Sacked at his own 39, loss of 7, fumbles. San Francisco recovers on the ATL 40. And that's disastrous, especially after you're seeing what kind of drives that the 49ers have been doing. Long drives. You burn 20 seconds, and then the 49ers end up putting points on in a quick way. I mean, I would say overall the defense did what they could. They got a sack, they had a fumble, ended up dropping, but they ended up recovering it. Led to a feel like, and you know what it was? It was that this is why it was huge. It was a sack on Mac Jones that they ended up ruling an incomplete pass, saves them the field position to keep them in field goal range. They knock through the field goal. They go up 10-3, and then that's where we get to the end of the half, right? You get the ball back with 38 seconds left, and I understand it's like, okay, we got to try and get down the field here, and it's tough. But look, you run the 2-minute drill, you practice this stuff, right? You just got to get into field goal range, just try and get some points. And I think that if it just went poorly, I think people would have been like, okay, whatever. You know what I mean? But you need some points going into the half, especially because you know San Francisco gets the ball to start the second half. You go down the field, and it's feeling good early, and you're like, okay, this is it. 19-yard pass, a 38-yard pass. But then you've got a 13-yard penalty because that's when they drop back inside the tackle box. That blitz comes. They call intentional grounding on Michael Penix, who threw it out of bounds from within the tackle box. Ball goes out of bounds, 10-second runoff, they go to the half. And like I mentioned, it's just so frustrating because you just saw it just last week when they should have had points before the end of the half against the Buffalo Bills. Thankfully, against the Bills, the defense was hooping and the offense had some things figured out. And at the time, the offense, you saw them moving the ball well enough to where you felt comfortable enough being like, okay, that's disappointing, but you know we can score. The Niners had the Falcons bottled up in the first half. Just 3 points. Just 3 points. And a lot of it also is just the fact that they had the ball for so much more time. Right? And it's disappointing too because the opportunities that the Falcons had to score. Like, I can't get over a 19-play, 60-yard drive. You burn 10 minutes and 40 seconds of clock and you just get a field goal? It was a disastrous second quarter. You go field goal to start, then you get the interception, so you're feeling like, okay, this is our time. This is our moment. Let's take advantage. Punt, they score a touchdown, you fumble, they get a field goal, you blow it at the end of the half. Not good. Not good. Not good at all. So then we go to the second half, and the Niners, of course, get the ball first. They're feeling good. They go down the field. They cannot stop. They cannot stop Christian McCaffrey. And once again, I mentioned that third down. A third down drill from Max to Mac Jones. They had another 15-yard play down the field. Third and short. You're trying to get off the field again. Christian McCaffrey goes for 12. Thankfully, they got off the field, but forced another kick, and they made the kick. So just like that, you're down 10 points. It's starting to feel bad because the offense hasn't moved the ball well at all. So good on the Falcons for being able to respond finally and get down the field. I mean, it felt like it was difficult, but I thought it was really interesting. Collinsworth on the broadcast was showing what Robert Saleh was doing, the D coordinator for the 49ers. He was showing blitz a lot and then just kind of dropping guys back out in coverage. And they just felt like the guys that they had up front, that young core up front, was good enough to get home. And they weren't having to send extra men. And those guys were creating issues in the pocket for Michael Penix, who was looking down the field and seeing it felt like 100 people in front of him, so guys just weren't open. Thankfully, they go down the field and score. They had some third down conversions, a big 17-yard pass from Michael Penix. They throw this Bijan, who is I mean, he's unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. It was kind of a little screen over to Bijan Robinson. Kick was good. So just like that, you're only down by 3 again. You're like, we're back in this game. Our offense moved the ball pretty well then. It was a productive drive where you showed some grit in a moment where it was 3rd and 1 and you're able to pick up a first down. You go down the field and score. And it all kind of got started because Jamal Agnew had a 45-yard kickoff return. So the special teams is doing their thing. But that's because you're in a short field, you go down and score. You haven't proven to anybody that you can do it where you have to start in your own zone. Defense comes up big, and this is where you're thinking, okay, we're back in this game. Down 3, you get the Niners go 3 and out, only 7 yards on 3 plays. You get the ball back again. You go 8 plays, 20 yards, and you punt. They had a delay of game penalty. A delay of game penalty. And I mentioned the different problems they've had, right? Let's see. So you had another ineligible man downfield. So that's a 5-yard penalty. So then it's 1st and 15. Then 2nd and 13. It's 3rd and 13. And you get a first down on a great throw to Casey Washington. So you're like, okay, we managed to kind of eat ourselves or take ourselves out of this hole that we created for ourselves. And a little bit later, you get another 5-yard penalty. How do you get a delay a game penalty, man? 3rd and 9, you get a delay a game penalty? Can't happen. Can't happen. So that ball falls incomplete on 3rd and 14. You punt again. And then they give you another chance. And that's the thing. It's your defense is doing enough. Your defense is doing enough. They only have 13 points at this point. Niners go 6 plays, 31 yards. You get off the field. You get one first down from Mac Jones that he manages to pick up. You get a stop on 3rd down. They start to figure things out defensively. You're starting to try and bottle guys up. And so you get the ball back to your offense again. And this is where the things got really disappointing, right? 8 plays, 48 yards. And this is where, this is where you're disappointed because you have an opportunity to try and go get some points. Down 3, driving. Bijan Robinson's so good in space. You have a 15-yard pickup on a screen. You get Kyle Pitts again to pick up a first down. But then what I thought was a mess, right? So you had it 2nd and 8. You had 2nd and 8. You get it to 3rd and 1. It's 3rd and 1. You have 2 plays to get 1 single yard. They stop Bijan Robinson in the backfield, so you're like, okay. I don't love trying to get cute here, man. Why do you take... And I think really with this... So they bring in Tyler Algier back into the game. He's back at running back. And then you decide, instead of running the ball or trying to get a first down or maybe going tush-push or something like that, you decide to do... you kind of throw it to the flat to Drake London, falls incomplete. I don't know if I love that call, especially because you are at the San Francisco 35. Maybe you get some points there. I get going for it. I probably would have gone for it too. I just don't. Maybe I don't like the play call. I don't know. I think you got it, but I don't love the play call there, especially because it was never open. It was never open. That's what people are going to be talking about all week. I think post game that Raheem, he felt like it was the right call. I mean, of course, in retrospect, it clearly wasn't. But yeah, boy, is that disappointing. You don't get it on. You don't get it on. You have 3rd and 1. You gotta be able to pick up a first down in that moment. Those are the small details that end up deciding games. So, but then you're like, please, defense, just come through for us. You're still in the game. They go 11 plays, 64 yards. You need a stop. Zach Harrison has a huge tackle for loss on this drive. But once again, here and this is your opportunity to get on the field. It was 3rd and 13. 3rd and 13. You did your job. Zach Harris had a huge tackle for loss. There's 2 minutes and 46 seconds left. 3rd and 13. And Mac Jones finds Christian McCaffrey for a 17-yard game. And just like that, it's all right. We got to start burning our timeouts to try and keep ourselves in this game. Falcons call a timeout. Niners to call a timeout. And then that's when the touchdown happens to put them back up 10. And just from there, the game's over. Game's over from there. Just how frustrating. How frustrating. And that final drive where they're trying to get back into the game, not a lot from it. You know, you actually had another fumble. They actually reversed the call, so you get the ball back. I'm a little worried about what Michael Penix's health is going to be going forward. He looked like he was a little bit injured. We saw Kirk Cousins up and running around. But that was the game. That was the game. It was just those, and I went through all the plays, but it was really just those couple plays that made the difference where, like, if you're a team, and that's the problem. I think they feel, and they honestly are good enough to win games if they're if they're more talented, because I think that they have a lot of really good pieces. Niners just played a really good game. They played really well, but also the Falcons just didn't do what they had to do, right? You can't get off the field on 3rd and 13 to try and save the game. That sack fumble ended up going to 3 points. You get the interception, you don't score. You got to get some points there. And then that end of the half issue, just trying to go score some points for the second straight game. It is just, and that's the problem. It just feels like everything. It's all the different small issues that keep popping up, especially after that. It felt like they were super dialed in against the Bills, and then against the Niners, a lot of little smaller issues popping up. And the Niners, who, you know, they're undermanned. They're well coached, though, and they don't make a lot of mistakes, and so they end up winning the game. So, yeah, how disappointing is that? You don't love that if you're a Falcons fan. I think it's unfortunately like the Bills game, you ended up wiping out that terrible performance against the Carolina Panthers, but then you come around in this game, and that's just disappointing. I had people bring it up to me like, yo, Kirk Cousins is going to play some real snaps this year. That's not going to happen. And they kind of compared it to what happened with Bryce Young a couple of years ago. I guess that was last year. Bryce Young, when he was playing QB, he looked like he was lost. So I think that was a different deal. I like what Michael Penix looks like in the pocket. I think he looks cool, calm, and collected. I think he makes enough big throws to keep him in the game. I don't think that he's a lost cause or anything like that. I don't think we're anywhere close to that being a reality. I think it's important that he stays as your QB1, because I think he really is the future. You have an expensive backup, and that's cool, but I don't think we're in a position right now where he's not playing. Like he's not the issue here, is my point. He's not the problem. There's some smaller issues here and there, and you see little small stuff that shows that, you know, he's a younger QB. But he does enough good things to where he should be on the field. And you need him to develop, and he can be a guy. I don't think you're at this current moment he's good enough to elevate this team past what they are. But the good news is he's got a whole bunch of star power around him to be able to do the right things. But you can't have the certain small issues that this team has had, and the certain, you know, the ability to not come up in the big moments to try and win these games. So, yeah, disappointing loss. Good news is for the Falcons, they end up coming back home this upcoming Sunday against the Miami Dolphins team that is not good. Bro, the Dolphins, what was their score on Sunday? They're 1-6 on the year. They're 0-4 away. And I think they got shut out on Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. Nope, not shut out. They got 6 points. They lost 31-6 to the Cleveland Browns. And Dylan Gabriel. They don't look good, man. They don't look good. I mean, I'm listening to the radio broadcast of it. At some point, you're sitting there watching Quinn Ewers in the game because you're down by 1 million. So that'll be a good opportunity to try and be a get-back game. You lose that game, I don't know. It's going to be an issue because you have to win that one. Right now you're 3-3. You're staring down the barrel at some tough games too. New England on the road in Foxborough. New England has been great this year. Drake May has been awesome. And that first-year head coach and Mike Vrabel, man, he's taken over that organization and they're playing well. That's on the road. And then after that, you go to Indianapolis. Indianapolis comes. No, excuse me. I'm looking at the clock here. The Indianapolis game is in Germany. That game's not even in America. You need to win this game against the Miami Dolphins or the season's over. Simply put, if you don't win the game against the Miami Dolphins, the season's over. Because by the time you get back down to the Carolina game on the 16th of November and then the Saints game on the 23rd, you could go Carolina, New Orleans, Jets. Those could all be wins. So if you beat Miami, or if you beat Miami, you'd be 4-3. You lose 2 in a row, be 4-5, and let's say you knock off 3 wins. Okay, you'd be 7-5 going against the Seattle game and then Tampa Bay. Okay, so there's still a chance, but boy, there's something about losing because it kind of compounds. You can't lose. You can't lose to the Dolphins. Anyway, that'll kind of do it for this, man. Bad loss. I think they'll beat the Dolphins on Sunday. I'll be there inside a Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and we'll go from there. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching our instant-ish reaction to the Falcons and 49ers game. As a kid from the San Francisco Bay Area, it was so interesting seeing all the different shots of the Bay Area. I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh man, look at home, man. It looks so good. I actually didn't grow up a 49ers fan. I grew up a Saints fan. I'm from my family's all from Louisiana. I actually rooted against the Niners growing up, and then I was kind of a Raiders fan just because it felt like more fun. Raiders left the Bay Area, so I root for the Niners. I have a Jimmy Garoppolo jersey, if that means anything, just because I like quarterbacks that are kind of funny. But anyway, that'll do it for our show. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. All of that helps me so much. Like I said, I'm going to be trying to get these episodes out every single day, talking about the biggest stories in and around the city of Atlanta. Look, man, huge win for the if you haven't watched the other videos, huge wins for both Georgia and Georgia Tech. Those videos are in the videos tab. Make sure you guys go like those ones and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you guys watch those bad boys because we're cranking out content, baby. Thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you soon for more big stories here in the ATL.